to our final episode of the season. Actually, did you know you were like the last?
No, I didn't, but I'm honored.
Oh my goodness. Last but not least, I'm here with the incomparable Wala Blegay.
Yes, perfect.
Got it. And you're an activist, lawyer, advocate, and founder. That's your title at Instagram.
Yes, my wonderful business, Masa Consulting, it really came from my advocacy. So we can say advocate, lawyer, and founder. It's all in that order.
Nice. So, wow, this is crazy. Like, it's hard to have this interview because it's like, how are we gonna really have there's so much time and so much everything between us. You know what I mean?
Well, that actually makes it for a good chat.
It does make it for a good chat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, now before then, I actually ran for state delegate in 2018. And just to give a little background about myself, I actually been involved in politics for just about a little after I met you. I wanted to get all involved. My parents were really active in the local African political scene in the District of Columbia when I was growing up. So
really? And what part of DC did you grow up in?
So I started off and we were more active when I was in Northwest. So I remember when they saw Charlene Drew Jarvis, I don't know if people know, Charlene Drew Jarvis was a councilwoman in Ward 4 in DC, and her father is Charles Drew. Charles Drew was a scientist.
Yeah,
Charles Drew. So she was really active. We kind of met with her. A lot of Africans lived in that community around the Columbia Heights and Georgia Avenue area. And then
is that the area they call the Gold Coast?
Yeah, and then actually
16th Street,
that 16th
coming down. Okay,
and it really was Howard that brought a lot of the Africans to that area. So a lot of people were in and out of Howard because I know my mom was going to Howard, and we knew a lot of Africans at Howard. So so my mom wanted to open up a ministry. So
wait, you were part of the Howard party crew?
Well, we didn't go to the party because my mom was really not into the party scene because she was praying. So she was very. So we moved to Southeast, and then when we moved to Southeast, my mom started her ministry, and it was an eye opener. I would say that Southeast opened up my eyes to poverty in our community, to really the needs. You would walk out and see people who were impacted by drugs, by alcohol, and just extreme poverty. I'll never forget, my house was right across the street from what would be considered the projects, and I was friends with a girl that was, there. And so one time, my mother never let me go to people's houses, and you know about that. Sleepovers, none of that. So, but
oh, you mean in your neighborhood?
Yeah, just in general, mostly in my neighborhood. But to be honest, my mother was very, protective.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in someone's house. My dad would say, if they have drugs in their house, the police would come and say, "Where's the drugs?" And they would be like, "She has it," and I'm like, "Daddy, I'm like 12 years old." But when I walked into that girl's house and saw that her couch was a car seat, that there was no bed to sleep on, that there were roaches everywhere, and you just saw it's so funny because I consider ourselves to be poor. We didn't have very much money. My mom was running a ministry. My dad was doing an ice cream truck, and really just ice cream truck. You make more money in the summer, but by winter you make a lot of money. So my dad used to throw paper, do different things. So we were kind of really struggling. And so when I thought we were just in extreme poverty, and then I started looking at the houses of the people around me and realized just how different it was. I also realized, even though we lived in a low income area, my parents were they were immigrants. And you know about that experience. They were focused on schools. You had to come straight A's. If you came with B, what is going on in that with you? What are you praying? My mother would be all over me about really being the best when it comes to excelling in school. And that wasn't the upbringing of the kids that were around me in Southeast. In fact, some of them thought I was trying to act white because we were trying to get, trying to excel in school. So what I learned is that the impact of parenting, the impact of having people in your life, because no matter where we live, we lived in Southeast.
Right.
I was still focused on school. My parents still made sure that I actually went to private schools because some of the schools in the area they didn't feel would give me the education that I needed, so I did.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Let me just interject right there, because some people will now say, with private schools, but it's not just about you have the money. Private schools have scholarships. They have programs that you can apply to.
Money.
We didn't. You can apply. You can get financial aid for private schools. So there's so many different ways to get things without having to have money if you're intelligent enough and you're determined to find a way. And like I said, private schools, even back then, even till now, they have scholarships, they have so many things that can afford you a better education, a better life. It doesn't mean that, okay, you know, oh, I don't know. Because the same way you're talking about growing up in Southeast, the same way I feel about growing up in PG County and the same, like growing up in the Black community, but sort of also not really feeling 100% a part of it based on what our parents would tell us growing up. That's how I felt. I felt like, yes, I grew up in these areas, so when people even meet me, they don't even think that I grew up in like Prince George's County. They just assume I grew up somewhere else. Or they talk about, oh, like neighborhoods they've never been to in a derogatory way or in an assumptive way, and it's like, no, actually, I'm from there, right. You know, and I can speak candidly about certain things, and I can also see where we're also missing the mark in a way that I know is very unique to myself, being born of immigrant parents in that environment versus born of people that are actually American and their parents are American or generationally here, descendants of slaves. You know, just a different experience, but on the same street.
Right.
A different experience in 2 blocks.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's when you said you were from Southeast. I was like, whoa, really? Because I know your experience living there is different, but it's interesting because the same way children of immigrants in this country.
I'm glad we lived there because it really gave me the sense of what people go through, the need that we have. I would say, I did go to private school, and I would say that my parents, because of the focal point of where we were, my parents were dedicated in paying for whatever that they could with the very little money that they had. The reality is that the truth, and I haven't told many people that when I graduated from high school, this was at St. John's, I did not have a full scholarship at St. John's. We actually had a partial scholarship, and I was low income, so I did get some low income funding, grants, those type of things. However, we owed money to the school by the time I got to prom. Because the little money that we were supposed to pay, we couldn't. We fell back so far that I almost didn't even make it to prom. Thank God that, you know, St. John's was nice enough to say, you know, we'll let you walk the stage regardless of what you owe, because they understood that it wasn't that we wouldn't pay, we just didn't have the money. But my parents were just that dedicated to education, and that's a different, like I said, parenting makes a lot of difference. And I think when we look at government, the problem is that not everyone has that pain. You know, my parents did. When you come from an immigrant community, you come from suffering in another country, and you come to this country, you're not going to get involved with certain things because you're focused, right? Because you're like,
you have your own problems that transcend anything else that you're seeing.
Right. And you've seen sometimes, you know, like, I mean, sometimes if you go to a projects in Southeast, you know, take that to where my family came from, where there was no running water. Well, you know, it is actually an experience that really will ground you into what you do have and what you don't have.
It will literally plant your feet.
Right. It would allow you to really see the bigger picture, forest versus trees, and actually see what, like, you know,
the stratospheres, girl.
Right. So that's why, you know, some people are wonder why immigrant families are so focused on education. That's why. And the reality is that where my parents came from, at least where my dad came from.
Because knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. And a lot of people don't have access. So in Liberia, there was a difference between the American Liberians, those are the ones that came from the slaves that came back to Liberia, and the indigenous. And at the time, there was discrimination against the indigenous, the people who lived there. So
I heard about that from someone I worked with that's from, they broke that down.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So one of the things is that if you were a part of the indigenous community, you couldn't go to really good schools. The schools were just for the American Liberians. But if you got to scholarship, which is what my dad got, you could go to school along with them. But what they used to tell him is that you could study all day, because my dad was very studious, because he had gotten from the village. He was the first out of his family to leave the village. I mean, my grandparents can't even speak English. Even some of my dad's aunts and uncles can't speak English. They never went to school. But he was able to go to schools in Monrovia. That was a big deal at the time, especially the 50s, huge deal. 60s, so this is down to 60s. When he went there, the kids would be like, you can study all day, because he was so studious, because he felt like he needed to be on top of his class to stay there, because it was a scholarship. And they would be like, you can stay here or study all day, you'll be working for me. Like, all those kids would say, like, you know, you can do that. So, you know, for him, there was not much opportunity for people in my family to be able to get school. And let me just say this, even where my mom came from in Nigeria, in order for you to go to school, you have to pay school fees. But also, when you get out, there's no jobs unless you know somebody. Imagine that you're in a place where you don't know whether you can get a job unless you can pay somebody. And even if you pay someone, you don't even know whether that's going to actually get you the job. These are things that if you, you know, for my parents, growing up in the United States, here the opportunity that you don't have to pay someone to get a job, that you might have. There are, let's just face it, there are jobs where it's about to hook up. But the reality is that if you want to go to school, if you want to get your career, it doesn't matter to a certain extent whether you are American Liberian or, or indigenous, it doesn't matter, you will still get access to education. So for my parents, this was the opportunity.
Right, because they're meeting speed bumps that are not with the speed bumps. Like, that wasn't the problem. Right.
So, and that was why when I, growing up, my parents were really focused on education, and I looked at people around me that weren't, but I didn't have the choice because my parents were like, education is important because of where they came from. So looking at where I grew up, the fact that I was studious, and some people around me that grew up around me would say that I was maybe acting white, is something that we need to think about. Why is that going on in a city of Black leadership? The fact that we have people that grow up in District Heights, Capitol Heights, certain parts of Prince George's County that are not able to get really good jobs or get the careers that they want, and they're living in the same county where you have someone with a big house in a gated community that works in the federal government at the top of the scale or works for a government contractor. Yeah, you're talking about, we talk about the branding of Prince George's County. Prince George's County is the one of the richest African American counties in this country, and it really is the richest, and it is it's when now there are other communities that are kind of moving up, but Prince George's County is at the top. So what's confusing when we talk to a lot of voters is that we don't have the Prince George's County is not the bedrock of entrepreneurship, as in you walk to stores in the community, they're not necessarily owned by African Americans, but even more so, we don't have the economic development in Prince George's County that matches with the beautiful homes. I'm actually running for county council for District 6 in Prince George's County.
Which part, where is District 6? Because people need to know, because some people live in District 6 that are watching this show and they don't know they live in District 6.
So when you think of District 6, you think about Upper Marlboro. If you live in Largo, if you live in the and of course Bowie, like Fairwood, Bowie, Mitchellville.
Okay, so all the Africans, you're getting
all
the
Africans.
You
This is our time, and that's something that I do want to talk about for Africans, because we do have quite a bit of numbers of Africans in District 6 in Prince George's County, but in the state of Maryland alone, we don't have we don't really have a representative. We have one representative, Juanita Fisher, delegate in the Bladensburg area. But
where
for the number, she's her father is from Nigeria. Okay. But Juanita Fisher.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think I've seen her. Yeah.
So she's
one of her placards or signs.
Yeah, she's but the problem is that
she's Democrat. She's Republican.
She's Democrat.
Okay.
Juanita's a good friend of mine.
I don't know why I whispered that.
Yeah,
but
she's a Democrat. She's also a University of Maryland graduate, like
Turks. Hey, Turks.
And she's just, Juanita is just an amazing representative, and she's actually running for county council in District 2.
Okay.
So we're both running for county council, so I look forward to serving with Juanita.
What can District 6 expect to see from you? Like, what will be your impact? Because our people, no matter where they're from, American, they don't understand. You just be coming in. Vote. Right. What are we going to see with our eyes? Right. Tell us what you're going to. What are you doing? What's the monies? Are we going to be getting contracts?
Yeah. And
so the question that they probably want to know is, okay, in their district, because it's local government, so your efforts will be tangible. They want to know, like, okay, what can we see? Like, if you had your way and everything that you have put forth could go through, what are we going to see from Walla in District 6 come? What, June, voting in June, but so July is when you'll start. So from July, claiming it now, claiming it. From July 2022 and beyond.
June 28, 2022 is the election.
June 20th.
So don't forget.
June 20th is so from June 20th, what do we expect to see? 28. You have to get the date right now.
So we must.
From June 28th to 8th, what can we expect?
So let me just go over some of the discussion. First of all, I kind of touched on the biggest thing. Economic development is key in Prince George's County. We are living in the richest, one of the richest counties for African Americans, but yet and still, we don't have quite the economic development. And let me just say this, the tax revenues in Prince George's County are based on homeowners right now. So homeowners are often complaining, my taxes are too high. Well, that's because over 70% of the tax base in Prince George's County comes on the backs of homeowners. So right now, if we had to raise taxes in Prince George's County, we would have to do it on the backs of homeowners because we don't have a commercial tax base. So if you look at the neighboring county, Montgomery County, our budget, recent budget was about a little less than $4 billion, and 60% of that has to go to the school system, which is something we're going to talk about too. But in Montgomery County, you're looking at a $6 billion budget. That's $2 billion more. That's $2 billion more that you can play with. And we talked about earlier about bridging.
And they're getting that extra from their commercial tax
because they have a higher commercial. Now Montgomery County also has houses that are worth more. But the reality is that even if they're worth more, the reality is that they still have a high commercial tax base. That's because they've learned the smart growth development. So if you look at a Silver Spring, and when you go into suburbs, you're not going to develop everywhere. You can't have a suburb that you have, it's not DC, right? So certain people move. If you want the city, you're going to move to DC. But if you want a little bit of a suburb and a little bit of a city, you can have that option in each county, which brings economic development.
Right.
Putting everything closer together, meeting people where they are. So if I live in a community where I don't have a car and I'm in Prince George's County, I don't want to have to. In Prince George's County, you have limited options of transit-oriented community. So if you look at the metro stations, there's not much built around metro stations. The economic development is sort of lagging.
Yeah.
It's sort of lagging.
New Carrollton, NC Squad. The train station.
Right. Nothing there.
There's things there, but
not much. And I would say
this:
most people that live in Prince George's County sleep in Prince George's County, but they go elsewhere to do everything else. So they kind of call us like the bedroom community.
Bedroom community.
Yeah, because people.
Wait, Sorry, I'm sorry. I left PG a long time ago. I left the bedroom community a long time ago. Why aren't? Because now you're on the inside, so I need some tea. Why don't we have like the high rises? Because why are they not building up?
Right, and that's what I'm going to be focused on, building up Prince George's County. We need the economic development. Right now, the only reason the pandemic has had a lot of job loss, we've lost a lot of businesses, but the reality in Prince George's County is the only reason why taxes haven't gone up is because we've got all this pandemic money from the federal government, which has gone to every community, every municipal. But the reality is that if we don't turn things around, if we have to raise taxes, homeowners cannot take any more of an increase in their home and their property tax. So commercial development is key. Most of the communities, like if we look at District 6, if you moved into Westphalia, Beechtree, a lot of the communities in and out of Prince George's County in the 6, a lot of people were promised economic development. So they bought their homes thinking that they were going to have some retail next to them. And now they have homes but no retail. In fact, in Prince George's County, we're building houses everywhere. We need, and one of the projects that worked in Prince George's County is downtown Hyattsville. So Hyattsville,
Riverdale Park, University Park, right near University of Maryland College Park,
the
Hyattsville Art District, brand new Whole Foods. I lived over there right before I left the bedroom county.
Well, we don't want to maintain the bedroom county. We kind of trying to move forward from that.
Why can't we be like Highland Park, Potomac, like the black? Why can't
And that's the goal. We need to focus on building up the county because we have look at what Atlanta does. Atlanta has said we're the
Black Hollywood.
And the stores, the retail, everything falls into Black Hollywood. If you look at it, each restaurant is some
they
celebrity
just glam themselves up.
Yeah, there's you're eating at a restaurant. We look at the restaurants like sit down dinners. We don't even have in Prince George's County a lot of places to sit down and eat nice restaurants, like white tablecloth restaurants. And we need to we're giving up our tax dollars because people are driving.
But how do we get the developers to come? Is Prince George's County giving enough incentives to developers that build those type of developments that we would like to come in?
Well, there is a little bit of this there's the discussion about developers do come and say, oh, we can't do this. A lot of developers don't want to build high rises in Prince George's County.
They just don't want to.
Well, that's what we've been told. Now, what I do believe overall is that we
what's the developers? What type of feedback do we get?
Well, if you look at recently, there was a fight on 214 at Central Avenue, and a new developer who was Black owned wanted to put a strip mall next to a senior community with 300 apartments. Now, for a lot of people, they fought back, and that the project has been stopped. One of the reasons why is because these seniors also don't want much traffic in the community, but they also say this is more of the same. Like this strip mall that has a store, if you go right down Central Avenue, you have the Weiss Market there. Mm-hmm. If you continue down, you're gonna be where I live in Cattling, where you got the Giant there.
Like where's the park with the fake grass and the walkable area? Where's all that?
We need more of that. We need more walkable areas. We don't have, a lot of places don't have sidewalks. Mm-hmm. We don't have necessarily not even just walkable communities. We need to create like little retail like hubs that are well that are marketed well. So like for instance, if you think about
like City Center in DC.
Like City Center. I mean, even look at the Arts District. And we bring it actually to Prince George's County. Mm-hmm. The Arts District's not that big, right? It's small,
definitely
it has nice retail there, nice stores that you can go to, something different, and people go there and shop. Mm-hmm. So we can do that. We can do that in the Black communities, because one of the concerns is that there's more development. You look at College Park. It doesn't look anything like it looked like when we were there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have all types of development there, but that was because the city of College Park worked well with the university, but that's also because developers saw all of these 30,000 students coming in, and most of them don't look like us. Right. So we have to give developers to see that African Americans are a base of we have the money. If you're looking at Upper Marlboro, if you're looking at somewhere like Beach Street, Westphalia, you're looking at people that are buying homes over $400,000. They can afford to spend.
Yeah, because if they're buying home over $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, some of them $700,000, right. They have money to spend. But what's happening is they end up having to travel to all the other counties to spend it
and give it money somewhere else.
Yeah, but what is it that the developers are actually like? What feedback are they giving like that you have been privy to? Is it like they just honestly don't think that it's?
Well, some of it is density. So some of them said that, there's density issues. So if you look at all the surrounding jurisdictions, the houses are kind of like on top of each other, right? So you look at DC, even Montgomery County has a lot of high density. Well, it's also because the developers have built, like if you go to Silver Spring and build 4 or 5 high-rises of apartments, of course you're going to have density because you build it up. Now, Prince George's County is unique as in what attracts a lot of families to Prince George's County, you talked about this too, is land, right? Mm-hmm. So to a certain extent, you also want to maintain what attracts you to Prince George's County. You want to have a house that has a lot of land. What we have to force the developers to look at is that Prince George's County, when you get to a place like Upper Marlboro, you have to look at the entire area instead of just one area. So what they might say is that, okay, we're going to build in Largo, but Largo only has these many houses. Well, the reality is, much like the Wegmans down the street from where I live, people come from everywhere. If you put the right things there, all of the greater Upper Marlboro, even Bowie, and even beyond that will come there.
It's Dillenburg, right. And Loudoun 1. I don't know if you've been to Loudoun 1 in Ashford, in Loudoun County area. Mm-hmm. That's the rural, the houses up in the woods, but they built a downtown in the middle. It's very doable. A lot of like where they put the Richie Marlboro development. That's right. They could have done that. They could have made that like people can come out and play, sit out restaurants. They could have done a little something in the midst of all that. There's space for it to be there, but that's not what happened. It's a fantastic sprawling new strip mall.
Right, and so Richie Marlboro is one of the biggest projects in District 6 that's recent. And I would say that even there, it's like adding more of the things that people want. They have some things, but not everything. But the reality is that
they gave them a Starbucks just to shut them up. They just okay, Starbucks. Oh, Starbucks is coming. Oh, and the Richie Golds. The Richie Gold Club Golds, Club Gold, so that's there.
But
everything there is nice, but it's missing that part. So right now everything there is nice because it's new. So everything's still white, everything's still fresh, everything is still clean, but it's missing that downtown vibe that will keep people there. If you give PG residents somewhere that feels legit downtown, because right now their downtown vibe for PG County is downtown Silver Spring. If they don't want to go to DC.
Everybody goes to Silver Spring.
Yeah. And so we're missing our city place. We're missing that city because I feel like downtown Silver Spring is a really good model simply because Tacoma Park, like those are some places that ain't got no money. Tacoma Park, Lily Park, that's all, the backside of
right. But some parts of Tacoma Park they build up too.
Oh yeah. And then like Tacoma Park, like the homes. But I'm just saying like as far as those surrounding areas have pockets of where they don't make that much money. Or they're not really spending, they don't have disposable income like that. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we don't, and we knew growing up what City Place looked like.
Right.
You know, City Place is not, ain't the.
But that's a collaboration with community leaders and developers to put together a plan to make it what it looks like now. We need the same collaboration.
Is Richie in the middle of your district?
Yes.
Okay, so Westphalia, is that coming still? Are they going to do that?
So they're still building Westphalia, but Westphalia is next to Richie Marlboro. But Westphalia was promised retail within Westphalia, and they did not get it. So
they're going to get it.
It hasn't. They haven't gone through with the plan, and they tried to bring this. So this Westphalia was the one where they tried to bring the Amazon right in the middle of a small community. It doesn't mean development that makes sense, right? So you get a warehouse like that. We have Landover where you have an open space.
Temple Hills.
You have a lot of open space that you can build that up.
That could really. So that's people. I don't know who decided on that. Right. But there are places that could really benefit from what an Amazon fulfillment center could bring in PG County. That was not the place.
You don't want to put that in the middle of a small community. Like I said, it has to make sense. So this is about smart development. This is about making sure that we provide the resources. And frankly, if we want to bridge the gap, we need more money in our budget to bridge the gap. Right now, 60% goes into the school system, and our school system needs help. I mean, so when we talk about all of the business owners that we have, all of the, we have the federal government near us, we have the government contractors near us. How about we connect the school system to build apprenticeship programs and programs that allow our students to think about the future of their jobs. And that's really going to help us bridge the gap, because if you don't have someone at home, at least when you get to school, you have someone to push you into thinking about the future and how you're going to survive in the future. So we do need to improve the school system. The county council has limited jurisdiction over the school system. So the school system right now, we approve the budget, but we don't do much else. But we can still have some impact. And
so it looks like the county council's impact is really on the economic development, of the land.
The development. I'm also focused on some other things. Affordable housing is a big issue. We don't have that in Prince George's County. In fact, we might be the last of the areas that have some housing that is somewhat affordable, but it's getting to the point that it's not quite there. A lot of people moving down to Charles County. I'm going to focus on healthcare. We have a new hospital in Prince George's County, small.
I just saw it. Yeah. I just saw it yesterday. Where did I go over there? Oh, went to Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, okay, I see you, Capital Region. Okay.
Yes. But there's long wait times at that hospital. Reasons why? Because a small hospital is a 125 bed hospital. So right now we need to support that hospital by providing other healthcare options in Prince George's County. So more community health centers. If you live in a District Heights, Capitol Heights area, even Forestville, you're pretty far away from it. To them, if you don't have a car, it's hard to get to Largo, right? Largo's not really down the street, and we don't have really walkable communities. So we need to build healthcare centers in and out throughout our community. Especially, we have a large population of seniors. About 30% of the group that population of Prince George's County is seniors. So how do we make sure that our seniors have easy access to quality healthcare, to healthcare within their community, and to be able to get specialty care? So we have a lot of work to do, a lot of things that we want to do. We need to do it, but we can do it with the economic development, increasing the tax base in the county, so we can have more room to do more.
Right.
So I'm excited about what we can do for Prince George's County. I look forward. I hope your viewers and you all will continue to listen to my vision for District 6, and also join our team.
Okay, wait, so you're taking volunteers?
Every day.
Okay.
Volunteers, money, everything. You can check us out, www.wallablegay.com. But you can also go to my Facebook at Walla Blegay, and Blegay is my last name, or Walla KB on Instagram. So we're everywhere.
I have a minute round of random questions I will ask you. You're going to answer them, but you don't know what the questions are. And they're random.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I almost forgot. Okay, bye guys. No. Okay. You ready?
All right.
How much is too much to pay for 5 wings, fried rice with mambo sauce and ketchup on the wings?
$5.
That's too much to pay for that?
Yeah, it's supposed to be $3.
Girl, you ain't been in the streets. You ain't been in the streets in a while.
I'm gonna say I've been eating my jollof fries.
Chicken wings and fried rice has come up. And things like $10.99. It's expensive. Look, see your face.
Where? There's never. I've never even seen anything like that. There's no way.
Chicken wing, a 5-piece chicken wing with fried rice is gonna cost you
$10.
By the time they swipe your card, before you even say tip or no tip, it's gonna be over $10.
It should be $4.
I remember when it was like $4.95.
Yeah.
It's no longer yesterday's price is not today's price. You've been here eating. You've been sipping on Dom and eating jollof rice and dining in the finest establishments in the hood behind the bulletproof glass. Prices have gone up in the streets. Girl. What are your top 3 campaign day must-have? Like when you hit the street, like what do you always make sure is in your bag?
Well, we need to have. I need to have literature. Are we talking about? This
politician.
Yeah,
I like to have my Sudoku. No, like what's in your purse? Like what's the 3 things in your purse? Oh, really?
It's like the cards. Like
reading is fundamental. Okay, literature you want people to read.
Right. What do you have, like a lipstick or something?
I mean, if that's in there, it's in there. But if you're literature, no, don't leave home without it because you never know who you're gonna meet.
But yeah, you never know. I mean, last night I went to a birthday party and then someone started asking about me and I'm trying to win my lecture, so I say, I'm running for office. Everybody's like, oh, well, let's give them more information. And this time I actually left it in the car and I was like, oh,
exactly.
Because now I had to tell everyone, okay, go to the website because it has, we have the QR code. So yeah, I mean, I never leave it out because you never know. The guy that was eating next to me lived in my community. He was like, oh my God, he's
told y'all, while I be on the beat, she be campaigning.
You never know. Like I have to, we have to do it
every day, all day.
Every day, all day. Now I would say, I mean, in the person also the lipstick. I would say, as a woman running, you gotta, always look good. If you have a little rough hair and lipstick ain't looking good, somebody's gonna be like, I ain't gonna run. She ain't got herself. She ain't look.
She ain't got my vote.
Right. So it's sad. I mean, not even sad, but like, I mean, it's superficial because getting, changing your community. Really, you don't need to look good to do it. But
how she gonna run the community? She can't run her hair, girl.
She got nails done, so yeah.
Because it's black people, we will fry it.
Yeah,
Fried.
People will.
Fried.
So yeah. So
no. How she gonna tend to these streets? She not tending to.
Yeah, no, this is not even a joke. Like,
right,
this is
real,
and that's a real thing. And I would say for
packaging, even African like packaging.
Yeah,
you have to package yourself.
Yeah, and then you gotta have your hair done,
everything,
have your makeup on point,
nails,
you gotta have the package.
You gotta look presidential.
So we working every day. It's a little rough because I be on a run, but I gotta stop and just
ping. Okay. Name 5 ways that people can register to vote if they're not registered. 5 ways to vote. Because I remember used to get people registered on campus.
Right. So it's not necessarily 5 ways. So what we're doing right now is that if you need to register to vote, you can go to the Board of Election website right now and then sign up the Board of Election website. Now, I would say that we were trying to put, it makes no sense. This whole process of registering to vote is very antiquated. So one of the things when I was with the progressive groups, we think it should be automatic voter registration. So once you actually get, registered into the state, when you get your license, you should automatically be able to vote. But it doesn't really work that way.
They give you the option when you're getting your driver's license. They know
they registered. Right, but they shouldn't even need to ask that. Like if you live if you're a resident, you have your ID, you should be automatically register to vote. Like that's the goal right now.
That's not the American way.
But
my choice.
It's gonna be, but it's not even your choice because you're registered to vote by just having your ID. So when you go to vote, at the end of the day, as long as you can show your ID, which is all they verify your ID, you can vote anyway. So you shouldn't even need to register. If you're a resident, you should just be able to automatically vote. That's not how it works right now. You have to register. So Board of the Election website, usually at the MVA if you get yours, but that's if you go through that side. But right now, Board of Registration, and of course there's a lot of groups, NAACP, League of Women Voters, a lot of groups that are going around registering people to vote. Now I will tell you, if things push we want people to be to register prior to the election. However, if you get to the polls and they find out that you're not registered, you would still be able to vote. You would have to vote a provisional ballot, and then
so people that aren't registered can wake up that day and decide they want to vote and do a provisional.
But it would be a provisional, so it would be counted afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah,
but still counts.
Yeah, but you'd rather be counted at the beginning because they have to verify a lot of things.
Get lost in the paper trail.
So it's not even worth it. What we say, go to the Board of Election.
You don't want that.
And register today. Make sure that you get everything so you can actually. So this election, they have voting. You can vote by mail this time, which was very much like the Trump versus Biden election. That was the first time that they did that. So they're doing it this time. It's becoming permanent. So you have options. We have early vote. You have early vote, but you also have the option to do vote by mail, which is what I did last time. So vote by mail means that, and of course, as we get closer to time, they're going to give you the option to request You would have to actually go online to the Board of Election and request them to send your ballot to your house.
Okay.
And then when
That's what they did last time.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So when they send the ballot to your house, you can vote, and then you can go put it in a Dropbox. So that's.
And shout out to everyone that actually voted during the pandemic, because it wasn't easy. It was very like trying to keep up. I was always confused with all this new way. Okay, go here, do this, do. Shout out to everyone that did the mail-in ballots. I can't even, like, mail-in was even over my head. I was like, oh gosh, it was just such a huge change that everybody went through.
It's actually
to vote this time.
Absentee, that mail ballot has always been around, right? Because it's absentee ballot. However, this time you didn't necessarily, it was encouraged so that there would be no crowds at the polls with the pandemic. Now it just gives us more options. There's no reason why people can say I can't vote, because now you have a week, I believe. June 11th, right before the 28th,
right.
You would have 10 days. You would have almost a week to vote. So that's early vote. Then you would have to mail in back. So you really don't have an option to say. There was one point where the only day you could vote was on election day.
Right.
Those days are gone. Right now, you have the ability to actually vote prior to. You can request your ballot, vote, put it in a mailbox. You're done. Wash your hands of it, and then you can do.
Thank God for options.
And then you can do early, but early vote is one of the only other options where you can vote anywhere. So if you want to vote they're going to give you like 7 centers, right? And I usually go to Wayne Curry because that's the closest one to mine. But you can go anywhere. Now on election day, you cannot go anywhere. You have to go to
your voting center. Right. Yeah, because I think I did early and went anywhere.
Right, so if you do anywhere, so that's why we encourage, because people now get confused, and then on the election day, some people start going to anywhere, and then you would have to vote a provisional ballot if you went to the wrong poll.
Okay.
Which again, provisional ballot should be the last option because you might not be counted. So you want to be counted. So
want to be counted. Okay.
All right. This was an awesome interview. We should do this again.
We should. We're gonna have you back. Well, season 2 will be too soon, but closer to the election day.
Okay.
We'll get riled up. We'll have like a pep rally right here on Foodie with the Tea. Bye.
Bye.